Hi everyone, welcome to the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name is Steve Reeves and I'll be your host. We've got another great show. We've got Drew St. Marie from Apple Computers Inc. here in Houston, and we're going to have a great show. What we're going to do is we're going to compare the Apple Power Macintosh to the Pentium. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
For all those precious moments you wanted to chronicle without the hassle of a camcorder, there is an alternative. Why not let Access Houston videotape your next event? With state-of-the-art equipment and complete mobile and post-production facilities, Access Houston's experienced professionals have the know-how to get the job done. For more information or to schedule a taping, call Access Houston at 524-7700. That's 524-7700. Access Houston, where you make television happen.
Here's one time it doesn't matter who your neighbor is. Here's the other. Life's too short. Stop the hate.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves and I'll be your host. And we've got another great show. We've got Drew St. Marie from Apple Computer Inc. here in Houston, and we're going to be taking a look. Actually, we're going to be comparing apples with oranges, not apples with apples. We're going to be comparing the Apple Power Mac to the Pentium machine. But before we go to that, we want to have a few announcements, like every show. Make sure everyone knows you can call and leave messages on our hotline. We suggestions for future shows, which if you like the show, if you don't call if you don't like the show, all right? Just call if you like the show, what you like to see, topics, any kind of thing, just comments relating to computers, that is. Our number is 587-5369. That's 587-5369. It's up on the screen right now so everybody can see it. And we also have an email address. It's ace@macaw.com, ace@macaw.com. And we've had a lot of phone calls. Last week we had like 22 phone calls, and after the show just the other day, on last week's show we had like 11 in like 3 hours. So people like to leave messages. They just like to talk on the phone, kind of like I just like to talk. We also have, oh by the way, 587-5369. We also have some magazines of the week. We don't have any books of the week this week, but we have some magazines, and since it's Macs, we're going to talk about Macs, I thought I'd keep them kind of Mac related. We have this one here, which is a Mac Home Journal. You ever read this magazine?
Yeah,
this is a pretty good magazine. It's more for like the home people, homebodies, and it actually shows you how to get things going. It's got a lot of things like home offices and compares software, like this one, top CDs. It's got all kinds of great stuff. But this is a pretty good book. There's actually quite a few Macintosh magazines, but this is just one I picked up that I just like to read, keep up with what's going on in the Apple world. And then another one, since, we have a Power Mac, not a Power PC. Actually, it says Power PC on there.
It's got a Power PC in it.
Power PC. Power Macintosh and Pentium. We also have a Newton. If we run out of things to talk about, which I doubt we will, we also have a Newton that we might spend a little time on, at least show it so people know what a Newton is and how it works. I have, this is actually the newest issue. This is February 95, PC laptop, and this got an article. Actually, it's a pretty good article about the Newton in here, but there's what are some of the Pen magazine? There's a couple,
magazine.
And that are specifically for like PDAs and for Palm Top and handheld and also notebook computers. So this is another good one that compares apples with apples also. I guess we had to do, without further ado, I had to introduce Drew St. Marie. His actual title is, I have to look here because it's kind of long. It's not actually that long. Advisory Systems Engineer for Apple here in Houston. What exactly is That title, what does that mean?
An advisory systems engineer. Well, no one knows, so it's a good thing.
Right,
for
but
me.
it says it on your business
Right.
card.
Actually, what I do is pre-sale support for Apple Computer. What I try and do is convince people that Apple computers are a good buy and that they ought to buy lots of them. And I try and overcome the technical difficulties that they would have, the technical objections that they would have to buying Macintosh computers.
That's great. You've been on the show before a couple of
A
times.
number of times, and thank you for
I
inviting
was
me
going to
back.
say,
I
thanks
always
for coming
enjoy it.
again.
Yeah.
You're our Mac expert.
I
right?
appreciate that, and I enjoy
or guru,
coming
or
back.
what are you going to call it? Guru? How do you say that word?
Close enough.
Whatever it is. What do you want to show us here? What
All
are you
right,
gonna do?
tonight, as you say, this is going to be a great show. We're going to put the Power Mac and the Pentium side by side and let you decide. First off, a little bit of background. Let me tell you what we have here. We really are trying to compare apples to apples to make this a fair comparison. What I have here is one of the older Power Macs. We just shipped new Power Macs. This is an old one. This is an 8180. It has a PowerPC processor running at 80 megahertz. Over here, I have...
Are they showing the... Let's make sure they're showing the screen so we can... Oh, there it is. Okay, now you can talk. Go ahead. That point.
Okay, over here we have...
That's the Macintosh. This is a PC. Okay.
Over here we have an NEC, an Image P90. It's a 90 megahertz Pentium processor. Both machines have 32 megabytes of RAM. This one is a PCI-based machine. This is NuBus-based machine. They both have accelerated video with 2 megs of video RAM on them, and they're both very fast. They're both set, incidentally, to 16 million colors for the video drivers. This one has a 500 megabyte hard drive. This one has a 250. So what we tried to do here is to make a fair comparison. We're running the exact same application on both machines. This one is running DOS 6.22 and Windows 3.11, Windows for Workgroups, which is the fastest version of Windows right now. This is running the Macintosh System 7.5 OS, and we have the exact same apps on both machines. So to kick this off, let's start out with a quick demo, and then I'll give you a little presentation and tell you about the PowerPC. So the first thing we're going to run here is a program called ClarisWorks. This is the very latest version. It's ClarisWorks 3.0 from Claris Corporation, which is actually kind of a wholly owned subsidiary of Apple Computer. Let me explain what we have. Both of these spreadsheets are the exact same size. They're 500 by 40, so there's 20,000 cells. And what we're going to do is we're calculating a random number. What we're going to do is fill the whole spreadsheet with random numbers. And to do that, we go down here and say, fill right. And this will make the processors calculate 20,000 random numbers. So go ahead, Steve, go ahead.
One thing I don't know if they want to show side by side. Can we actually show both monitors? I don't know if you want to, can you show side by side? I don't know if we'll be able to see exactly what's going on. You'll have to see when it fills up the screen. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then we'll actually tell people what's going on. So we can, okay, go ahead. Ready? You want me to start mine?
And go ahead.
You're going to give me a head start? You're going to spot me?
I'll tell you what, I'll spot you here.
Ready?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I
I'll
hit
spot
mine. Okay.
I
over
feel
here.
comfortable spotting you.
It's still going. See that little, you can't see, but there's a little thing going around right there.
The key to really good performance on any machine is to have software that's optimized for the processor you're using. And to that end, currently there are over 425 native applications that have been optimized on the Power Macintosh for our processor. Over on the Pentium, there's much fewer. There's actually less than about 20 native apps that are written specifically for the Pentium. And what we're showing here is an example of what happens when you optimize for the Pentium and you optimize for the PowerPC.
Oh, you just hit it right there.
I just hit it, and it's done. Now this guy, ClarisWorks, is optimized for the PowerPC processor. Over there, what you're seeing is that in this case the ClarisWorks version is not optimized.
Well, at least
for
they give you
Pentium.
something to look at here, a little pinwheel thing. You know?
That's true. You are getting the spinning wheel, and I guess if you find that entertaining, that is useful. Most people
I'm
don't
easily
like that little
amused.
symbol. So while that guy is working, what I'm going to do is quit out of here and bring my presentation up. So
We'll go get a cup of coffee real fast.
we'll use some of the spare time here.
I'm still going
It'll
over
be
here.
done.
Oh, there
There.
it is.
Okay, it just finished up. Okay.
So how it is that compare apples with apples? How long did it take on it?
It actually, I've timed it. If you probably could have guessed that. It takes about 7 seconds on here and about 70 seconds.
70? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you can go ahead and quit out of that. And what I'm going to do now is is run through a quick presentation on the Power Macintosh. So let's
We want
go
to
over
zoom in
this
on that
one. Yeah.
Apple screen or that Macintosh screen. We like to keep the camera people jumping around as much as possible today.
At Apple, we really do believe that the Power PC is the future of personal computing, and we've made a huge investment in this technology, and we're moving our whole product line to that direction. Let me give you a little background history so you know where I'm coming from. Back in 1989, Apple began, in our advanced technology group, began looking at alternative processors, because what Apple saw was that the CISC processor, the complex instruction set computing processors like the x86, the 68K that were in the Macintosh, were running out of gas. And what we felt was that we needed to look at a different architecture that would support us through the 90s. So in 1991, after examining a variety of technologies, we looked at HP's PA, we looked at Sun's Spark, we looked at MIPS, we looked at Digital's Alpha, and we looked at IBM's power architecture. It was clear to us that what really had the most legs in this case was the power architecture. And of course, in 1991, Apple signed the historic alliance between Motorola and IBM to develop the PowerPC processor. And then in 1994, we came out with the Power Macintosh in March. And I'm pleased to say that as of the end of this year, we were shipping over 425 native applications. So we're doing very well. The developer community has embraced this product very well, and they're quite pleased with the performance. What makes a Power Macintosh? How is that different from other Macintoshes? Well, it's really very simple. What makes a Power Macintosh is the PowerPC processor, one of the best RISC processors on the market, we feel, and System 7.5, the Macintosh OS, which we feel is the best mainstream OS available today, the easiest to use, most friendly. And in fact, if you read any of the trade publications, almost every comparison that's done is always made with a Mac OS. You know, whatever, a Doors 96 is going to be just as easy to use as a Macintosh. And that's always the comparison that's made, so I think we're pretty much taking this as the de facto standard for ease of use. The best part about the Power Macintosh is that we really encompass a wide price range. We don't have products just at the high end. We're not just a workstation product. We have products that range all the way from $2,000 to $4,000 to even $5,000. The advantage that we feel that we have with PowerPC is that, one, we're transforming our whole product line. As I said, it's not just a high end. Back when this product was first introduced, Mike Spindler, who is our CEO, said that he had a goal of selling 1 million Power Macs in the first year that they were out on the market. Now, the really good news is that Apple announced that as of the end of December, we had shipped over 1 million Power Macintoshes. And by the way, that makes Apple the largest RISC vendor in the world, bigger than HP, Sun, IBM, all combined. We are the largest. One of the other nice features of the Macintosh is that it does ship with System 7.5. There's a lot of unique features. I won't go into detail on 7.5, but one of the most innovative technologies in System 7.5 is a thing called Apple Guide, which is active assistance. Most other help programs on personal computers simply give you what I call a dead text window that explains how to do things. On the Macintosh, we take it a step further. When a person doesn't know how to perhaps change the sound settings for his Macintosh, if he invokes the guide and says, "How do I change the sound?" Apple Guide will literally lead him by the nose and show him the steps that it will take. It will highlight the things that he has to click on and point right to him with coach marks and arrows. So it really is active assistance. It shows you how to do things rather than just letting you read some text blurb that may not be helpful if you don't understand what you're doing. Now, there's been a lot of talk about plug-and-play technology, and it is coming to the PC arena. On the Mac side, it's really been there since 1984. We've always been plug-and-play, and it's something that the PC side is trying to emulate, and they've created a new plug-and-play standard that Intel and Microsoft have pretty much developed. One of the things that's neat about the Power Mac is it really does preserve your investment because it works with existing NuBus and processor direct slot boards. It works with peripheral hardware. And Mac Week, which is probably one of our most vociferous critics, has actually said the compatibility with former applications, 68K applications, is excellent. They say compatibility is very good. Even things like system extensions, utilities, control panels, even those work very well on the Power Macintoshes, and of course networking is a breeze. Now on the flip side, there's a very good article, if you have the chance, pick up Byte magazine for September of 1994, and there's a very good article on plug-and-play technology and how it relates to PCs. In there, and there's an excellent quote, it's a very informative article, but basically what the article says is in order to fully take advantage of plug-and-play and have it work on PCs, you have to have a plug-and-play BIOS, the basic input-output system that's in your ROMs. If you don't have that, you'll have to buy a new machine, or hopefully you'll have a machine that has the flash BIOS that can be upgraded. If you don't have that, you got to buy a new machine. You have to have a plug-and-play operating system. So if you don't have that, you'll have to upgrade your operating system. You'll have to buy plug-and-play peripherals. If you don't have those, you'll have to buy new peripherals, and you'll have to have plug-and-play applications. So really, to use plug-and-play, you'll just have to throw everything away that you have now and start from scratch. So it's kind of a pricey investment to go to plug-and-play, and it's going to be painful in the PC arena because there's so many different vendors out there. Let's look at native PowerPC applications, because this is one of our real advantage. If you look at the old Macintoshes, the 68K Macintoshes that we were shipping and still ship, as compared to the PowerPC-based Power Macintoshes, the performance is excellent. It ranges from 2 to 10 times faster than existing Power Macs, and the new Power Macs really do fly. Now, we recognize that we're not the biggest player in the market. We are not 50% of the market. Actually, we're about 10 to 15% of market share. And to that end, we understand that customers have made investment in DOS and Windows technology. They don't want to throw their software away. They don't want to throw their training away. They want to continue to use that. We acknowledge that, and we actually go in and we offer a product, a bundled product with some of our Power Macintoshes called Soft Windows from Insignia Solution. And it allows you to run Windows-based software on the Power Macintosh and software emulation. About the only complaint about this software has been that it does not support enhanced mode in Windows. They have a new version coming out in the second quarter of 1995 that will address that because it will emulate the 486 processor. Also, Apple has addressed this. We recognize that people want to run DOS and Windows programs, so we have a 486 card option for our lowest end Power Macintosh, the 6100. It's a real Intel 486 DX2 66 on a card with a Sound Blaster chip, and it's a real 16-bit Sound Blaster. It comes with the networking drivers, ODI based, to let you connect to NetWare and do TCP/IP, and it's fully multitasking, so you can actually switch to the Mac side and run Access or Excel on Windows in the background, and it'll run. And
wow,
you go
great.
back and forth. So it's a real boon for our corporate customers because they can run Doom on the PC side when the boss walks in the office, flip over to the Mac and have a spreadsheet up, and it covers you. So it really nice product. Gives you full cut, copy, and paste between the OSs, which is very nice. You do a graphic in CorelDRAW, copy it, paste it into freehand on the Mac. And this product is about $739. It's available today. We're shipping it. That product plugs into our low-end PowerPC based Macintosh.
We're going to have to take a quick break here. Is that all right? I don't want to stop you.
That's all right.
It's great. I don't even have to talk. It's great. This is great. I you know, if I have a sore throat, it wouldn't even make any difference. But as you can tell, Drew is a good talker. And well, stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I don't know, I'm missing something there.
This is New Guinea.
It's so powerful.
I don't see it.
I'm having an out-of-decade experience. I was walking and came upon a fountain which bore the sign, "Don't drink the water."
Do you
The
get
beggar
this?
carries a
Isn't it
sign saying, "I'm
fantastic?"
blind." What does this poem mean to me? It's like a collage of images.
Let's face it,
sounds.
not every cultural activity appeals to everyone.
Finding an oasis.
So we're giving you something everyone likes, a choice. That's why 23,000 arts and humanities groups are inviting you to find something you can get excited about. Just call for a free brochure about what's going on in your community.
I think I'm getting into this.
They're tuning up.
The arts and humanities, there is something in it for you. There's a lot going on in your community. For a free brochure on how to get involved, call our toll-free number.
You're watching the Public Access Channel, a service of Access Houston Cable, where you make television happen.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, like I say every time, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name is Steve Reeves and I'll be your host. I am the host, I'm not going to be your host. And we have a great show. We have Drew St. Marie from Apple Computers Inc. here in Houston. And what we're doing is comparing the Apple Power Macintosh to the Pentium. We're comparing apples with apples or apples and oranges or whatever. And it actually is a pretty good show. We're showing how they compare in speed and different, actually the same programs on both of them. Same, I guess, not the same programs, but the same named programs. And we're actually showing how they compare on both systems. And he's going through a little presentation, actually a good presentation. By the way, he knows his stuff, doesn't he? That's why he's our Apple expert here in Houston. But anyways, I want to make sure everybody knows our phone number is 587-5369, 587-5369. You can call in, leave messages, which you'd like to see in future shows, comments, no criticisms. And also our email address is ace@macaw.com, ace@macaw.com. I also want to make sure everybody knows the next couple of shows that are coming up. We have next week's show will be, we're going to be talking, actually a little tutorial on Microsoft Access. More and more people have left comments on our hotline that they want more tutorial shows, more shows showing how to use software, how to make them faster, make everything work better. So we're going to do a show on Microsoft Access. That's their database program. And then the following week will be PC tax software. It'll be perfect timing. We're going to be talking about all the different programs that are coming out for your PCs that will help you do your taxes or how to make them, how to make money in taxes. I'm just kidding. Anyway, and I guess that's about it. That's all I want to talk about. That's all the announcements. Oh, one other thing, real fast. I want to make sure I say this because we didn't mention this, but I'll talk about it. A lot of people also want to know about bulletin boards and all kinds of things. If you want to get online with Apple on internet, the address for if you're a surfer, it's www for World Wide Web .apple.com. If you're on CompuServe, it's Go Apple. Sounds like a cheer, doesn't it? And also America Online, the keyword is Apple. And also there's eWorld, which is Apple's little, what do you call it?
It's our own electronic information utility, and eWorld does ship with all of the Macintoshes.
And you can actually get the eWorld through on internet too.
That's correct.
There's actually a little blurb in there you can double click on. And also in Houston, there's a users group here in Houston, HOG. It's a Houston area Apple users group. And by the way, I have their phone number too. I probably should have given it to the director, but it's 522-2199, 522-2199. If you have any questions, you can give them a call, sign up. They're great. They have meetings, every third Saturday at U of H. So if you have any questions, call that number, 522-2199. That's all. Now, go back to your presentation. I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks very much, Steve. Picking up where I left off, what I'm going to do is talk about the current crop of Power Macintoshes. We just upgraded them. The low end now is our 6166. This used to be a 60 megahertz machine. We bumped the speed up to 66 megahertz and made the hard drive larger. It's now a 250 meg hard drive. And this particular product sells for about $2,200 with the monitor. We essentially kept the price the same and increased the speed. We also added a 256K cache, which had not been in this product as well, and that boosts the performance about 30%. Our mid-range product is our 7180. This used to be a 66 megahertz product. It is now an 80 megahertz. It too has a 256K cache, and it is around $3,200 with a monitor. And the hard drives are from 500 megabytes to 1 gigabyte. At the very top of our line, we have two products. And I'm not showing them here. I wish I was. I'm using an older model, the 80 megahertz, but the top end is now an 8100 100 or our flagship product is called the 8100 110. We believe it's the fastest personal computer on the market. It runs at 110 megahertz, uses the PowerPC 601 Plus chip. You can have from 8 to 264 megs of memory in it. We offer 720 to 2 gigabyte hard drives, and it's around $3,800 with a monitor.
So it's a typical home PC then?
Yeah, that would be something that you'd find in the K-12 market for kids doing, you know, read a rabbit and that type of thing. You want to make that rabbit zip right on. Exactly. One of the things that a lot of customers, Apple customers, expect from Apple is that there'll be good upgrade paths, that they won't be orphaned when new products come out. And to that end, I'll talk about the upgrades for PowerPC. There's 3 different ones from Apple and then some from third-party ISVs. The Logic board upgrade is offered from Apple, and this is literally tear the whole motherboard out, put a new one in. We offer that for the Quadra and Centra 610, 650, Quadra 800s. We also offer a card, and this is a processor direct slot card that goes in our 040 products like the Quadra 700, 900, 950, and the 800. That option is about $600, and then we also offer a microprocessor slot. This is for our Quadra 605 LC475 customers. Literally the 040 processor is pulled out, this is snapped in, and it has a PowerPC processor as well as the 040 on it. Finally, Daystar Digital offers a third-party product that is called the PowerPro 601. They just recently announced that this is available for the older 030 base Macs, in particular the Mac 2 CI. These upgrades run from about $600 to $2,300, and it gives a way to existing customers who have older Macintoshes to move up with the line. Now, this is a really important slide here. It's really what made Apple make the decision to go to RISC. What Apple saw when they looked at the x86 architecture was that each successive iteration of the processor yielded less and less of a performance boost. I bought one of the original 8086s. I had a compact desk Pro, and when the 286s came out, they were just blistering. They were like 4 times as fast. And the industry very quickly moved to the 286. The AT became the standard. When the 386 came out, it was about 3 times faster at the same megahertz. When the 486 came out, it was about twice as fast. And InfoWorld has just recently done a study on the Pentium at the same megahertz as the 486, and what they found was about a 50 to 75% increase in performance. So what you see is each iteration of the chip, you're getting less of a performance boost. Apple looked at that and said, we believe that CISC, complex instruction set computing chips, are running out of gas. The curve is leveling off. So what Apple did was we broke the mold. We went with a whole new architecture, the RISC chip, the 601, and in many ways the 601 is kind of like where the 8086 was back in 1982. We're ready to take off on this very rapid power curve where each successive chip gives really good performance increases. So we're putting computing on a whole new plane, we think, and it's the reason that we went to this. We wanted to start with a new architecture that would give us really good performance increases for the 90s. Now, I have kind of a technical description of CISC versus RISC, complex instruction set computing versus reduced instruction set computing. To a lot of people this sounds like medical terms, and actually I had mine removed last year. The doctor said it had an aneurysm on it. Just kidding. I'm not going to get into the technical details. What I'll do is I'll give you an analogy that's very simple to understand. CISC computing, CISC processors are very much like Tetris. If you've ever played Tetris, the little pieces come down and they're all different shapes and you have to line them up. Well, what you know is that because the shapes are different, you kind of have to fiddle with them and line them up to get the rows across the bottom. That is a very good analogy with CISC processors, because in CISC processors, each operand, each opcode is a different length, and it takes a different length of time to execute. In RISC processors, they're very different. Each operand is the same length, and it takes roughly the same amount of time to execute. So imagine playing Tetris where each of the pieces was just 2 blocks long. You'd be able to drop them in very quickly, and that's one of the efficiencies that RISC processors offer. They're very, very fast because it's easy to make a superscalar design where you have multiple instruction branches operating simultaneously. All the instructions are the same length and execute in the same amount of time, so you can really crank out the spec marks. And speaking of spec marks, let's just take a look at what theoretical performance is. Now, these processor figures came from Intel and IBM, so I'm going to make the assumption here that they're equally inflated and we can compare them here. What's interesting is that you'll see that the Pentium and the PowerPC are roughly the same on integer. The Pentium's a little bit better, but on floating point, it's really not even close. The other thing you have to do, though, is you have to discount these figures because on the Pentium, InfoWorld, and this is the 12494 issue, said that these estimates are really of performance that's 20 to 30% over non-optimized code. So unless a vendor writes his code optimized for the Pentium, the real performance will be about 20 to 30% less. So this is what you really see. And the question you have to ask yourself is how many OSs and applications are optimized today for the Pentium? I'll answer the question for you. Not very many. We think less than 20 native applications exist for the Pentium. Let's forget about that because lab performance doesn't matter. What really matters is real life performance. No, my boss has never come in and said, Drew, need those spec marks on my desk tomorrow morning. I mean, that's not what people do. People do spreadsheets, they do word processors, they do databases, they do graphics programs. And Ingram Labs has done 3 independent studies, and what they've done is they've taken 10 applications. They've used FrameMaker, Excel, Word, FoxPro, ClarisWorks, DeltaGraph, Vellum, Freehand, Painter, and Mathematica, and they've done 25 different operations in each program, things like scrolling, recalculating, repaginating, loading, saving, and here are their numbers. What they show is at the high end, our fastest machine, the 8100 110, is fully 45% faster than a 100 megahertz Pentium. Even our lowly 6166 is 38% faster than a comparable Pentium running at 66 megahertz, and it actually compares pretty favorably to a 100 megahertz machine. Now, for the future, where is PowerPC going? IBM, Motorola, and Apple have announced a roadmap. What you're going to see from Apple and IBM and Motorola in the future is the 603 chip, which is now shipping. Apple has laptops on the drawing board. They'll be out this year based on the 603. IBM is shipping a 603-based laptop now. Later in the year, you'll see a 604-based product from Apple, and probably next year, you'll see the 620 processor incorporated as well, probably in high-end server products, because it's uniquely situated to really address the concerns of that environment.
So there will be a PowerPC PowerBook then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'll be the
Apple's announced
603?
that. Absolutely. Apple
Okay.
has announced that, and that's been out for a while. Let's talk about real-world price and performance, because people have often criticized Apple and said, oh, your products are too pricey, they're really expensive, I can go out and buy cheap clones, and they're a lot better, and they're faster, and we like them. We actually went out and ordered, and this is very, very recent, I tried to get a 100 megahertz Dell to use for this show, and I wasn't able to. It's still not shipping. They said some problem with upgraded processors. I don't know. I'm still waiting for it. The cost of this was $5,069, and here's what I got. I got a 100 megahertz Dell, 32 megs of RAM, 500 meg hard disk, PCI-based accelerated video, 2 megs of video RAM, a double-speed CD-ROM, Ethernet, and a Sound Blaster card. Now, we went and bought a Power Macintosh, and it was actually $50 cheaper, but we figured close enough. Now, what's interesting is the Power Mac, even though it runs at 80 megahertz, is actually about 20% faster, 19% according to Ingram's benchmark. Same machine in terms of specs, 32 megs of RAM, 500 meg hard disk. We're based on NuBus, not PCI. 2 megabyte video RAM, double speed CD-ROM, Ethernet, and 16-bit sound. What's different though is that in addition to being 20% faster, we also give you video in and out. You can take video from a camcorder or VCR, plug it into the back of this Macintosh, and have video in a window, even a TV tuner. You can record it as a QuickTime movie, take frame grabs, do whatever you want. In addition, our machine is dual monitor capable. You can hook 2 monitors without buying another card. Now these 2 features, video in and video out, are probably worth about $600. You'd have to buy a special video board to do the video in and out on the Dell, and you'd need a second video card on the Dell if you wanted to do 2 monitors. And to be frank, 2 monitors on Windows isn't something that everybody uses. You have to have special drivers, and it's not a common configuration. We also include SCSI. Now you can get SCSI on the Dell if you go out and buy an Adaptec 1542. That's about a $250 option. We also ship with speech recognition software, and ours truly is plug and play. Now, Dell, to their credit, does have plug and play BIOS, but there's no plug and play operating system today, and plug and play peripherals really aren't out there yet. So there's a lot of features that we're giving you for the same price that Dell doesn't offer. What is the future going to hold? If you look at Michael Slater's microprocessor report, he had an interesting comment. He said the PowerPC 604 will put Apple well ahead of anything Intel will have this year, and I don't believe Intel will ever catch up. And the 604 will be released in the Macintosh this year. Now, I've got some questions to ask yourself, because Intel has made a big point of saying that there really is no difference between CISC and RISC. The Pentium's just as good as any RISC processor out there. If there really is no difference, why has Intel proposed this new chip, this, we'll call it the Hewlett-Packard Intel processor, or HIP? It's a RISC implementation of the x86 processor. If there was no difference, I'm not sure why they needed to do that. Also, now that the Pentium's been out for nearly 2 years, how many optimized applications are out there for it? On the Power Mac, there's nearly 500 now as of today. On the Pentium, I believe there's less than 20. There's not a great deal, and as far as I know, no OS has been optimized specifically for the Pentium. Why haven't we seen a Pentium laptop from a major vendor like Compaq or IBM or Dell? I was just at Comdex and at an Intelligent Electronics show in New Orleans. None of the vendors were showing Pentium laptops. They're still kind of on the horizon. Why would Compaq's senior engineer say that there really is little performance difference between a 75 megahertz Pentium and a 486 DX4 100? And that was a quote from InfoWorld magazine. And finally, if there really is no difference between CISC and RISC, why does this machine, an 80 megahertz machine, outperform a 100 megahertz Pentium? And we're going to show you some demos here that actually prove that, so I'm not just blowing smoke here. Let's real quickly summarize. We think the Power Macintosh is the best personal computer made. It's Mac compatible, 040 compatible, DOS compatible. It's very fast. It's fully supported by Mac developers. We have over 425 shipping applications today. It's scalable, and we think it outperforms Pentium technology, and we really think it's the future of computing, and it will be the RISC implementation that other people will compare their personal computers to. So with that, let's do some demos. It's probably what everyone wants to see. Okay, the first thing we're going to show here, we've shown ClarisWorks, and just hang on, it's coming out of sleep. It's
one of those green
It's an
machines.
energy saver. It's a green machine. We're saving a lot of power there, saving the planet.
yeah, I
Okay,
noticed it.
the first thing we're going to run here, and again, 32 megabyte machines, 90 megahertz Pentium, 80 megahertz PowerPC. We're running the latest version of Mathematica, Mathematica 2.2.
All right.
And what we're going to do is we have a fairly complex workbook here, and we're going to go in and calculate this workbook and animate it. So to do this, we'll go up to Graph, and we'll say Animate Selected Graphics, and we'll say on your mark, get set, go. And there they go.
I don't know, you want to show both screens here? I don't think they can see both screens. Again, I like to put them on the spot, you know what I mean? By the way, there is a little flicker on that Mac screen. It's just a little out of sync.
Yeah, the Mac has a slightly faster refresh rate, which doesn't sync with standard TV video.
We're going to have them go and just leave this up on the screen for 1 second so we can see what's going on. You can see when they zoom out, you'll be able to see that it's quite a bit slower on the PC than it is on the Macintosh. I don't know if you can see that or not. He's going to zoom in. They're doing a wide shot. Just a second here. Leave it just like that for a minute. All right. Now this is Mathematica for Windows, and what is there?
Mathematica for PowerPC.
All right. Can they see that? I don't know if you can really see that. Anyways, just believe us. It's quite a bit faster. All right.
Okay.
Just hit over the top of that.
All right.
There.
Let's quit out of that. Now the next application we're going to run, let's face it, not everybody runs Mathematica first thing in the morning. It's really more scientific, educational. Right. Let's do something that's much more common, like freehand. This is used by many graphic designers, many people in the publishing industry. It's a very common application. This is the latest version on the PC, Aldus Freehand 4.0.
About a minute for till a break.
Okay. All right, what we have is this is a demo document that comes with the app. So you can try this at home if you have two machines. This isn't a special document I created. Let's do a select all. select everything. And there's about 17 layers here and a couple of big TIFF files. And what we're going to do is go over and click on that transform box where it says apply. Just click in that box. Yeah, click right there.
Right there?
Yeah, just click right there. And now go up, do a select all.
All right. Oh, I see. I was over the
Yeah,
top of it. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Do a select all and go in, click on the little rotate tool.
Right here?
Right there, and put in 37. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this graphic 37 degrees. And ready, set, go.
All right. While this is rotating here, we're going to have to take a quick break. And so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
The men and women in the National Guard and Reserve face some tough challenges when they serve. Challenges that teach them discipline, leadership, and technical skills that make them better employees. So when they need time off to serve, don't make their toughest challenge approaching you.
Access Houston can teach you the ancient art of television production. Learn the camera technique, the audio technique, and the basics for recording and editing. If you wish to follow the path of television production and create television programs to be seen on the Public Access Channel, call 524-7700. Remember, 524-7700. Call now and become a master of television production.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, this is the American Computer Enthusiast Show. My name's Steve Reeves. And tonight's show, we have Drew St. Marie from Apple Computers, Inc. here in Houston. And we're comparing apples with apples, actually, and apples and oranges. We have a Power Macintosh, and we have a Pentium machine. And what we're doing is showing how the same programs compare on both systems. So I guess we got to go straight to the comparisons.
All right, back to the monitors if we can see them up on the screen. What we're now showing is a program from Aldus, which was recently acquired by Adobe. It's called Freehand. It's a graphics-based program that many illustrators and designers use. And the first test we're going to do, we have the same file opened up on both machines. We're going to rotate this 37 degrees on each machine. So ready, set, and go. And you can see the Power Mac's finished, and the Pentium's now finished.
Go.
Okay. All right, next we're going to do a skew, and what this does is this skews this particular graphic a specified degree, both horizontally and vertically, and what we're going to do is make it 20 degrees both ways, horizontal
20?
and vertical. All right.
I type almost as fast as this Pentium goes. You know.
Okay, Steve. Next, we're just about ready to go. Ready, set, and go.
I got a hard job today, you know.
The Power Mac is finished.
Ready, get set, go.
Okay, the last thing we're going to do is an operation that people frequently do, and that's to scale the drawing. So in this case, we're going to scale this drawing up 150%. A graphic designer might do this to get a graphic to fill a page or to fill a certain area. All right, are we ready, Steve?
Get set.
Ready, set, go. Beat me on that one. You jumped the gun. Red light there.
I'm sorry.
Finished over here.
And finished right about here.
Okay, so that's all this freehand, recently acquired by Adobe, and now at Macromedia, as a matter of fact. It's sort of a nomad, software nomad. All right, let's quit out of that, and we'll move on to our next application.
I'm still exiting here.
I know. Just
Quit?
Hit quit. Okay, next one. Double click on that. This is a application from Fractal Design called Painter 3.0. And incidentally, this is one of the applications that has been optimized specifically for the Pentium. It's also written native for the PowerPC as well. And what we have up here, if I must say so myself, is an extremely good-looking young man. This is actually my son. This is a photo CD picture that I had done at Fox Photo. Took 35 millimeter film in, and they made it into a CD for me. So I pulled this document off, and what we're going to do is apply some special lighting effects. Painter is a very graphics-based package. It does a lot of digital photograph editing, very similar to Adobe's Photoshop. So let's go in here. We'll go to Surface Control, and we're going to apply a lighting effect. And the lighting effect that we're going to apply is this 3-color lighting effect down here. And are we ready? Set, and go. Now this is a very floating point intensive operation. What it does is it applies this lighting effect. It's like putting 3 different colored lights, and you can see I'm finished on the Power Mac.
60%, 70%, 80%.
It's like shining 3 different lights on a picture, and you can see the effect here, and there we have it on the Pentium. Okay, let's go and undo that, and we're going to apply another effect. Let's go in here and go to Focus, Glass Distortion, and are we ready? Set, go.
I learn pretty quick, don't I?
I know, you're very good at this, Steve. Okay, the Power Mac is finished, and in just a few seconds here, the Pentium will be done as well. Now, what's interesting about that is, I don't know if you can pick it up on the screen.
They probably can't see it.
Probably can't, but we can see the effect here on the screen. Vinny over here kind of looks like you're looking through him, looking through a glass that's slightly rippled. Over there, there is no effect. There's weird grid lines. Now, what that indicates is that we have a problem. It's not actually showing the effect. Now, what does that mean? Well, to use kind of a plug-and-play analogy, we've plugged, but nothing's played yet. And what's happened here is that the video driver, either the video driver, the software, or the hardware have a conflict. And it may be that we need to go back from 16 million colors to 64,000 or 256, or we need to perhaps get a different video driver, or there may be a problem in the software. We don't know, but all we know is that it works fine over here. Over there, there's some issues with that particular effect. Let's go ahead and undo that one. And the next one we're going to do is a focus and a motion blur. And this one, let's bump this out to about 40 this time. And you can just drag that slider.
Okay,
40, up to 40.
Got it.
Okay, ready, set, and go. I think I may have red lighted you by about a half a second there, but okay, I'm done over here, and there it finishes up on the Pentium. You can see the effect. The effect is to totally blur the image, and sometimes this is used on graphics where you kind of want to soften them up. And
that's how my wife takes pictures.
Yeah, in fact, on photo CD, if you're moving your camera, you don't even have to apply that effect. You get it automatically. It's a real nice feature. I try to avoid it, but all too often my photographic skills are rather blurry.
Or a big thumb or finger.
Those are very handy as well. The good thing is with a package like this, you can literally just brush your thumb right out of the picture.
Great.
Okay, I think we've done everything we need to do in here. Let's go ahead and quit out of Painter. Now the last thing we're going to show, and this is probably the most common, is WordPerfect. And we have WordPerfect 3.1, which is native for the Power Macintosh. We have the very latest release from WordPerfect 6.1a over on the Pentium. Again, 90 megahertz versus 80. So let's go in and do something that people routinely do. We're going to do a select all, and what we have is a 90-page text document. Quite a bit of text, and we're going to go in and we're going to change the font from a Helvetica font to a Times font. So if you would, Steve, hit Format and Font, scroll all the way down until you see up there in font face, go all the way down until you see Times, click on Times, and I'm going to go to Times, and we'll say ready, set, and go. The Power Mac's finished, and now the Pentium finishes up. Okay, let's do something a little bit different. Let's make some columns. So if you'll go on the bottom of your toolbar there over on the right hand side, go to 4 columns, and I'm going to go to 4 columns as well. Ready, set, and go. And the Power Mac finishes up, and there the Pentium finishes up. Okay, the last thing I want to do is a lot of times people go in and do justification. They'll right, left, justify.
Undo?
Yeah, do and undo. Wouldn't make sense to justify in columns. Let's go ahead in and do a select all again, and we're going to justify this whole 90-page document. So go under Format, Justification, and justify all. Okay, and now ready, set, and go. PowerMax finished, and now the Pentium finishes. So there's a good example of just a common productivity type application, word processing. The last thing that I want to try here, let's see if we can bring this up because this is kind of interesting. Go ahead and close out of that.
Completely?
Yeah, exit out of that. Go ahead and double click on the compare document. We're going to go back into ClarisWorks just for a second here.
All right.
And let me bring that up as well. Okay, what I want you to do is close that, just say File, Close, and say File, Open. And there should be a file there right at the level that you're at called Sign, S-I-G-N. There it is. Open that up. Now, what we're going to do here is I have a more floating point intensive type application. It's a spreadsheet, ClarisWorks. We're going to go in, and you've got the whole area selected. Again, you're going to go to Calculate and Fill Right, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. What we have...
Now, do it.
Not yet. Let's start them at the same time. Well, actually, you can go. Go ahead.
Ready, get set, go.
Hey, you jumped the gun on me again. I'm going to go ahead and do. What this is we're filling this spreadsheet with a trigonometric function. It's the sine function. You see, I just finished over here. What I'm calculating is I'm taking the sine of the number in the very first cell and then incrementing it by 0.1 and then calculating the sine of it again. So it's an iterative trigonometric function. It's done for 20,000 cells. And ooh, we have a dialogue over here. And what is it saying?
Insufficient memory to recalculate spreadsheet.
Choose calculate now when you've freed up additional memory. Well, we have 32 megs of memory. Oh well. Okay, that's all. We'll just quit out of that.
That wasn't on purpose, was it?
No, that wasn't on purpose. I don't know why it did that. It does that, and I would think I have plenty of memory there, but I don't know. I guess I'll
bump exit.
Yeah, exit.
It did some of them, but not.
I'll bump it up to 64 when I get a chance.
All right.
Okay.
It's pretty inexpensive to do.
Absolutely. You're right. The last thing I want to talk about, if we have a little time here,
we have plenty of time,
is to talk about some of the latest stuff that I've seen for the Newton. The Newton, the much maligned PDA, the press didn't like this one, mostly because of the fact that the handwriting recognition wasn't 100%. People expected, I think, unrealistically, that doctors would be able to scrawl their prescriptions and magically the Newton would be able to interpret these ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and make sense of them, and that simply wasn't the case. But a new company, Palm Computing, has just introduced a new product called Graffiti, and it's actually an excellent product. I don't know if you'll be able, I'm going to try and bring this up and show this to you, and maybe you can zoom in on it here. What Palm has done is rather than try and train the Newton to learn your handwriting, you kind of have to learn how to do Newton symbols. And this is the actual alphabet here. And what you'll see is that there's only about 4 or 5 characters that are very much different from what you'd normally write. The A is slightly different. It doesn't have a cross. The F is a little different. The K is different. And the T is different. But most of the other characters are, for the most part, exactly the same. And the numbers look pretty much the same. What's unique about this is that you don't write cursively. You write within a little box. And what I'm going to try and do here is to bring this up. Let's bring it up, and what I'll do is I'll bring the little graffiti box up, and I'll write in there. And you probably won't be able to see this, but I'm going to write
Just
real quickly.
Right.
Believe us here. I'm going to go in and write the numbers 1 through 10. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And if you can, I don't know if you can see it again. It's probably hard to see it here. Let's see if I can.
You can probably see somewhat. It really does say 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's close. But now this certainly improves the handwriting recognition. But one of the things that's always, I've felt, really added value to the Newton is that well-designed applications don't require any kind of handwriting recognition if they're done right.
Right.
And to that end, I'm going to show you one that's just excellent. It's a really good product. It's from State of the Art called Expense Plus. Apple, like other big companies, has you fill out expense reports. And I do all my expense reports on the Newton now. And you can see this form here. Let's say that I'm going to go out to dinner with Steve tonight, and I'll try and expense that. I might not get it by my boss, but I'll try anyway.
Brennan's?
Exactly, absolutely. I tap on the dinner, and it comes up and shows me the date. I tap on the date, and I can pick when we went out. Let's say
A little calendar comes up.
A little calendar comes up. I can pick what we had, and if we went out in the evening, it would be dinner. If it was in the morning, it would be breakfast. Here is the amount, and I can simply write in an amount, or if I tap on it, I get a little calculator here, and I'll put 25. Obviously, we didn't go to Brennan's.
We got a salad.
Let's just add a 0 there. We went to Ruth's Chris, and both had steaks and lots of stuff. And finally, I can, in my description, I can simply tap with a customer. You're buying Macs now, right?
Oh,
Steve?
yeah.
Okay, great. Good. I'll
Lots
add
of
you, and notice it automatically adds the item right down here. And the same with fuel and tips, taxis. Now, what's really unique about this is that I can very quickly hook this up to my Macintosh. And I'm going to try doing that right here. I've got a local talk cable.
Put you on the spot here.
I'm going to plug this in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap Send, and I'm going to run an application over here called Expense Plus Receiver. And what this does is it has my expense report over there. And what I'm going to do is this thing is going to send its information over to that Macintosh, and there it goes. And now what you'll see is if it's working, you'll see the little icon change. It's a little Newton symbol. And what's happening right now is that it's actually compiling the data that the Newton is sending and getting my expense form, and you'll see in a few seconds it'll bring my expense form in, and it'll begin putting all the numbers that I've entered right into my expense form. Now in the past what I used to do is I'd come back from trips like to New Orleans, San Jose, wherever, and I'd have a fistful of expense receipts. I'd have to sit down and go through the drudgery of filling one of these out by hand, which is, to be honest, really kind of a pain. Now all I do is as I make these expenses, I jot them down, and what you can see now is the expense report is coming up, and the Newton is literally piping the data right into my expense report. So all I have to do is connect, say send, and this thing will fill my whole expense report out for me. All I do is just sign it after I've printed it. I mean, it really saves me a lot of time. It's an excellent example of Apple's AppleScript technology, which allows one device, one program, to control another program.
So that's when you see a Newton software program, for example, when it tells you that it's a Newton, but it also has like Mac / Windows or whatever, that means it comes with an application like this. Is that so? When you buy that program, how does that work?
Now, actually, what you're seeing when it says Mac / Windows, it means that the product can be installed on the Newton from either a Macintosh or a Windows-based machine. Now, many vendors offer PCMCIA cards that you simply plug in. Their software's on there. But they also give you a floppy disk that you can put into a Windows machine or a Mac machine and download it into your Newton to begin executing.
Oh, I see.
Now this is kind of a unique application because it actually involves both the Mac and the Windows based machines. Right now this is only shipping for the Mac, but state of the art from what I'm told is they're interested in working on a PC version as well. Incidentally, this supports Excel, FileMaker Pro, and the product I'm using here, which is Inform Manager from Shanna Corporation. So you can see it's a real productivity booster. If you have a lot of people out in the field, this is wonderful for them. They can fill their expenses out, do it when they incur the expenses, rather than 8 weeks after when they've forgotten all about them.
Okay, great. And this was a great show. We've run out of time, though. That's the only problem.
That's the problem with all
does anyone
these
notice
shows.
we had sort of a problem getting Drew to talk, you know? He's sort of introverted, you know what I mean? But
Thanks.
I think he came out of his shell, though. I'm just kidding. But thanks again for coming to the show.
Absolutely.
And make sure everybody goes out and buys lots of Apple Macintoshes, the Power Macintosh. But I want to make sure everybody knows next week's show is going to be on Microsoft Access. The following week will be on PC tax software. And I guess that's it, so we'll see you next week.